We'll start with the story where the 68th ECOWAS ordinary session has kicked off in Abuja, with the region grappling with mounting security threats, political tensions and economic pressures. Now, the summit set the stage for closed-door deliberations where leaders are expected to assess the state of the bloc and agree on a collective response to challenging confronting the sub-region. Now, Moyo Thomas reports more on this.
The opening of the ECOWAS summit in Abuja is focused on unity, security and the future of the regional cooperation, as leaders acknowledge growing pressure on the West African bloc. Concerns raised range from terrorism and violent extremism to unconstitutional changes of government, economic hardship and internal divisions, prompting warnings that instability in one country now poses risk for the entire region. During the opening session, the chair of the ECOWAS Authority, Nigeria as host nation, and the ECOWAS Commission all emphasized the urgency of collective action, democratic governance, and deeper regional integration.
Our ministers of finance and defense are advancing modalities for sustainable financing and preparing to raise a 1,650 personnel counterterrorism brigade by the end of 2026. But we must also pair security with governance, education, job creation, and community resilience. It is only through such holistic approaches that we can dismantle extremism at its roots.
We have demonstrated that we are not threats to one another. Our shared challenge, therefore, is to ensure that internal divisions do not erode the collective strength we have built over decades.
The challenge to multilateralism, the rise of multipolarity and the pressure on African countries to make choices about partnerships, new technologies and the entrenchment of terrorism and violent extremism in the Sahel, among others, have profound effects on our ability to attain the 2050 vision objectives.
Economic integration and regional cooperation also feature prominently, with leaders stressing the need to strengthen trade, free movement and investment across West Africa. Following the opening ceremony, discussions have now moved behind closed doors, with leaders expected to take key decisions on security, governance and the future direction of the regional bloc. Moyo Thomas, TVC News, Abuja.
All right, so this is the conversation that we are having, Mr. Biodun. Oftentimes, we know what the ECOWAS is. We know what they're supposed to be doing. If you remember, the last time we were speaking about the coup that happened, and we're like, ECOWAS is not even doing so much. Are they really pulling their feet like that, or it's just talk? But we're saying now that a summit has been held. You know, they're having conversations about governance, about security, about education. But we're also getting to a point that it's not just talk. You know, we need to see these, you know, be put into action, especially when we talk about terrorism.
Yeah, absolutely. But I don't think it's fair to say that ECOWAS has not been doing much. Prior to now, we had ECOMOG on the issue of Liberia and Sierra Leone, and they did a fantastic job. Absolutely, Nigeria, Ghana did a fantastic job there, and we're able to resolve the situations there. But since then, things went somehow, and we realized after the Niger coup that one of the issues being raised by Niger, Mali, and Burkina Faso is that ECOWAS standing for. There is no ECOWAS standing force coming to assist them, you know, to deal with the issues of terrorism. And in order to ensure stability, ECOWAS took some decisions when our president Bola Tinubu was the leader of ECOWAS. And then they are trying to create a standing force, you know, for intervention in order to ensure regional stability. Now, stemming from what happened in Benin Republic, I think that is actually feeding into this situation currently, to say, look, we need a standing force that can immediately react rather than allow things to degenerate into wars and all that before we can do anything about it.
Yeah, but I agree with that. You know, I agree that they need, you know, to put something in place. Because like I always say, we need to be proactive and not reactive. We're not waiting for something to happen before we now start putting our feet on the ground. But Olamide, they are not just speaking on security, they're speaking about education as well, very important. And then most importantly, they're talking about how we can secure ourselves from terrorism.
Absolutely. They have to talk about all other sectors as well, because there could possibly be a domino effect. Yeah. If there's insecurity in the country, all other facets of society are affected. Education, livelihood, livelihood, farms. We're seeing it large scale in Nigeria, the domino effect that insecurity has, which is a shame. But I will say, just like Mr. Biodun Shomi said, I like the fact that ECOWAS is now not taking reactionary measures. They're taking preemptive measures. They're putting a force in place that will stop coups and stop these sorts of dominoes effects before they actually consolidate, which is very important. And Nigeria is taking its place on the world stage. You know, historically, Nigeria is one of the security backbones of ECOWAS, and to see them take a stance like this, it reminds me of the good old days when we had generals and brigadiers and we had fighting troops, the men of old. And so I think this is very, very great. There's a lot of internal trust right now that needs to be repaired. We saw how the Sahel broke down. We saw Niger, Burkina Faso, Mali. We saw the domino effect that had, and I think Nigeria right now and ECOWAS as well in tandem are coming together to say we don't want this to happen to us. No more breakdown.
I think for me, we've just seen how important security is, and we know that that is the head of everything, because if there's a problem with security, it's going to be very difficult to put everything in place. But Ibrahim, we're hearing this. For me, I'm always a person that I speak on. I don't just want it to be conversations. I feel like I'm that person that I've heard a lot of things, and sometimes we just hear them and we do not hear anything again. So for this one, what are you hoping for? Are we praying? I would like to use God, or how quick do we see this, taking center stage?
Well, it is one thing to have problems. It's another thing for you to come together, identify the problems, and then prefer solutions to it. And that's what I think the 68th ordinary session for the ECOWAS, that's what the meeting was all about. Because I was wondering at the beginning, okay, there was coup in Mali, Niger, the Troika, Mali, Niger, Burkina Faso, and now another one, was foiled in Guinea-Bissau. Another one also was foiled, with the help of Nigeria and some other international communities. Talking about Benin Republic. So what peace initiative has been brought in place for President Talon? What are we doing? Because all of the leaders of this ECOWAS region, they owe us one duty. The electorate one duty: good governance. So when they talk about education, we talk about farming, we talk about insecurity. So what are we doing against the violence, extremism? What are we doing against cross-border, fighting and all of that? So when we talk about economy and all of this altogether, we need to say, this is one thing about ECOWAS. This is the reason we are here, and this is what we must do, because the electorate are not waiting. So whatever is happening around, what conversation are we also having to bring back this troika, Mali, Niger, Burkina Faso, back into the bloc? Because the international community is watching. So it's good. I'm happy that they're having this conversation. I'm happy that they are moving forward, but there is still much more left to be desired.
To be done. And for me, I'll just say ECOWAS, you know the reason why you were founded, the reason why you were put together. So we want to see more action, and let's talk. We want to see more African countries come together. We want to see more security, and most importantly, we need people to go to school and not be afraid that they will not leave school alive. Well, there's still a lot to talk about on the show this morning, but we'll take a breather now, and when we come back, Ibrahim is ready for the newspaper review. Don't go anywhere. This is TVC Breakfast.